Okay, I'm sorry to be delayed because these technical issues. Well, I will try to continue after this.
Okay.
So, good evening. My name is Alonso Torres. He is Antonio de la Torre. We are both developers at Kaleidos. And well, 3 years ago, Decathlon contacted us because they wanted to bring a new means of communication to people who like to practice sports. So in this presentation we are going to review some of the decisions that we made, some of the mistakes that we did, and well, we hope that you can learn something for this development.
Okay, but what's Decathlon SportMeeting? Decathlon SportMeeting is how many of you practice sports? I'm sure, yeah. But no, seriously, we're in a another conference. But and how many of you practice it alone? No, but here in Decathlon SportMeeting is a social network where the people and where it allows that people who practice sports meet other people. Where, for example, in this screenshot, there is the people that make proposals to running in Madrid. No? So, if, for example, if you after this conference you want to go to running here in Madrid, you can talk with Josefa de la Cruz, yeah? And you can meet with him to run. No? But maybe you want to make your own proposals. No? For example, there are 35 sports inside this social network to make your proposals. No? This screenshot is from rolling to snow to skiing, whatever you want, you can make your proposal.
But the first question is obvious. Why do they Decathlon? Well, first things first. Who doesn't know about Decathlon? You don't know what Decathlon is? Okay, I think it's pretty much in whole Europe. So why they want to make a social network? Well, the mission of Decathlon is to bring sports to people, so they can facilitate their practice. No? So it's very aligned with their philosophy to make a social platform to bring these sports to them. No? So Decathlon SportMeeting was created to make this one step further. And of course?
Yeah, but and who developed it? We said Decathlon contacted us to start this together. And why they contact us? Because first of all, they need with this kind of like the dynamic project, they need a team with an agile methodology, an agile mindset to build this step by step. And of course, they needed talented people, no? Because so this is the main reason. And one of the red lines that Decathlon has is that they don't want to be locked by a partner. You know, they don't want that their providers owns the code, and it's much perfectly with our open source philosophy. No? We know Kaleidos is an open source company. We work with the community a lot.
Although you don't know, we are already using some of the source code of the Decathlon SportMeeting, because in the development we made 3 pull requests to the Greach framework. So every one of you that are using Greach framework has some code in there. And we also open source 6 plugins, 6 Grails plugins. They are all in the repository of Kaleidos, together with other plugins that we have released. And yeah. Okay, so some numbers, no? Because this is at the end of the day, this is a Grails conference, a Groovy Grails conference. So you want to know in which part is Grails coming. No? So right now we have 100,000 users registered in the platform with more than 1,000 active proposals for 35 sports. In the core of this platform is of course the Grails framework and the Groovy programming language. They provide a very robust platform to develop in a very dynamic way. But we couldn't do this without very robust components like Postgres or NoSQL. Also, we are providing a RESTful API for 2 mobile applications, one iOS and one Android. The front-end development was all made like a rich web client with jQuery and Backbone front-end.
And I will say that. And we want to share with you the decisions we made 3 years ago. So maybe some of them will good, and some that will after that we face it that we have to improve. And the first decision we made is to divide this large application that we said is we from the beginning knew that will be for more than for a lot of people, to separate in 3 applications. Yeah, this four components and 3 applications and a plugin. 3 applications to contain all the web part, you know, all the ESPs, all the parts of the web page, all the API. So the RESTful API in one application, and all the jobs, all the asynchronous jobs with quads in one application, and all the business core, all the business rule, all the common code in a plugin named core. That is the instantiation, like a online plugin in each application. It has a very good size, like I said, to don't repeat the code, but also has we know it now. That's some bad size. Like for example, the configuration. We have to link. You know, we have to make symbolic links of files from one application to the core, for example, to share the properties of. For example, if you want to from API send an email to the users, for example, after registration or after, I don't know, after follow a user, and do you want to share in that email an URL that's linked to something in the web? That URLs, that names, you don't have it in the API application. So some URLs we have to share. You know, this another. This is. And from the beginning, just the common objects, we gave them a huge responsibility, not only for to control the input values, but also to contain some business rules. For example, to put the limits of the levels to practice a sport. For example, if the level of your level of running is from 1 to 5. That rule is inside one common object, and we access our domain classes to validate that. For example, in this code, this is a very small piece of code that you see here inside the user gets value, where we get the user ID, like long user ID, like you say here in the parent, and we check that user ID exists in the database. And test. This is also a decision. We face a lot of problems. We have a lot of odd behavior in the unit tests regarding the transactions. For example, in the working with Mongo, working with Postgres, and also in some if you attended to the Mr. Hacky presentation, you see there a lot of ping instantiation. That magic is so powerful, but it also has a lot of problems to to refer to that beings inside a unit testing. You have to mock a lot. So we are starting to write a lot of integration testing. But right now we are working, we are moving to unit testing. Why? Because 3 years later we have more. We are a lot of more knowledge. Not only us, only Spock. Spock is more powerful and it is easier to write unit tests. And a very interesting point here. This is we have time-consuming tasks, a lot of, and I mean 12 hours, 12, 18 hours, and of course we couldn't let users wait for that amount of time. So, but we identified two kinds of jobs: asynchronous process and background jobs. The asynchronous process are light process that we launch, for example, in the immediate email sending after registration, for example, and in the sending out push notification to mobiles. No? And we develop it with platform core, and in the other side, the background jobs are inside the application with Quartz. And therefore, I mean, as big jobs like proposals clean up in the on the night, or mailing with interesting emails with to all the users database. I mean, the 100,000 users.
Okay. So in the API side. So about web and API. We have also used traits in the API side to provide all the controllers with a unified form to respond to the client. No? I mean, this morning Johan was asking if any of we are using traits. Well, we are. This is very nice to use traits inside a controller because you have access to the response. If you only do a parent class, for example, you couldn't access the response or even call render method because all those methods are injected dynamically by Grails. So using a trait here is a very nice way of doing this. Also, in Grails 2.4, you could map command objects to JSON, input JSON, but on Grails 2.1, you couldn't. We had to do some black magic to support that. We implemented a filter that did it for us. But afterwards, when we migrated to Grails 2.4, we could delete all that stuff. But it's very nice because you could have this kind of code where you are sending just a JSON and it's automatically binded to your command object. And inside this, the subcommand, I mean, this is a list, no? So all those elements of the list are also command objects that could be validated as well. Okay. So, for us, one big decision was to make the API data-oriented instead of screen-oriented. We knew that we would have two mobile applications, but we knew that this was just the first step. We want to open this API, so we couldn't be married with only one device or only one application. This should be generated enough to provide information for several providers.
Yeah, we made, but we had to make here some concessions, really. Because, for example, if you want to get your sport profile, this is, this URL on the bottom is some kind of, of joking of URL, no? Main user profile. It's joking, no, it exists. No, you're accessing your mobile and you want to see your profile. And nowadays you have to call a lot of calls, but we decide to put to have a rich user object. Now you always travel with the user information, a very rich user object, so without all info. But this was some kind of little concessions. So quickly during do you see that me in the user URL? This is the alias to user ID. That means that the current user is very semantic for the API, for the using of the API.
Okay, so now we have been talking about the whole development environment, or what were our decisions on the development side, but we think that it's quite important the infrastructure decisions you made. For example, we are using PostgreSQL as our main database, and it was we are very happy with this choice because it's a very robust platform, it scales very well, it didn't have any problems at all in production, it was great. On the other side, MongoDB was a bit of a pain because our main concern was that we had two sources of data. One was in a PostgreSQL database, and the other set of data was in MongoDB. So we have to synchronize those. And MongoDB is not that good when it should be data reliable right into the database. No? You can configure that reliability. There are some options, but then you lose part of the velocity, no? the efficiency that is in the database. But MongoDB is not that bad, really. I mean, for other kinds of data, like we are storing also statistics and usage data. For that, it's very good. It's very quick. We can explode that information very fast. And also for geolocalization data, it's very, very good. We found out when we were trying to localize proposals, for example, it was very easy with Mongo because the interface that provides are very good. Another decision, I don't know how many of you are using Terracotta right now in production. Show your hands. Nobody is using Terracotta? Okay, you are doing great then. we did use Terracotta for a long time, but then our partners in infrastructure found out that when you want to really scale up a lot, when you have a cluster of nodes in Terracotta and they want to rejoin your cluster, there are problems because the community edition doesn't support that. You have to buy a license and they don't even show you the price. So at the end of the day, we changed to Redis and said to them, everything has to be good, but maybe it's a little too soon to tell. Also, a very good thing that we did is to load all the binaries into a Nexus system. It's really nice because it's Maven compatible, and if you are using the release plugin, that is in every plugin you create, but you could also put that plugin in a Grace normal application. You could upload those and even put it in your automatic integration. So if you have a Jenkins or whatever, you could make that when the tests all pass, you upload directly to the Nexus, so it's very, very convenient.
But so far we talked about the Grails, no? Grails this configuration. But now we needed to use another powerful tools that to increase our scope, no? And this is for example, we use the Java Melody plugin, no? To have us that give us monitoring of the system. Really, we don't need it too much time, but when in production, when the system has problems, they save your day a lot. So it's very useful. For example, here, if you don't know it, you have a very complete statistics of a lot of graphs with use memory, CPU, HTTP session rates, And on the bottom of the page, you cannot see here, but at the bottom of the page there are a list of the slope queries, the objects, your Spring objects in memory, so it's very, very useful. And of course, about testing. This is the real test that a plugin is a huge version, because for complex objects with a lot of constraints, it's also save you a lot of time. For example, here in the sample here, you see our classic God user object, with maybe 150 fields. In this, this is with only one call, .build. It is all very complete, a valid object, and you can use immediately in your, for example, user relation series to follow a user. And and we are so proud to use this plugin inside Decathlon SportMeeting, because it is developed by Alonso and here Ivan here in the front. And we developed it inside Kaleidos, but we were using it from the very first time because it provides native access to the Postgres types. For example, HStore, arrays, or JSON types. So you know GORM in this. If you forget this line, yes. GORM allows you to create a list of arrays, but it creates two tables. One for the user objects, another one for the devices. But if you map these devices with a type of array type that is native of Postgres, GORM only create one table. So how do you sum this for you? How this is the denormalized data. This is the we on the beginning use Mongo for the normalized data. You see, to create a very quickly application. But maybe with this we didn't need it. In the first time we used, for example, this kind of data. This is very interesting. And like we say, for asynchronous jobs, we use the platform core plugin that's maintained for the Grace core team, and it's also very easy to create asynchronous jobs and to call them. For example, here a classic set immediate, but we call an event here that is and this process on the bottom is listed. So it's very for the user is immediate because it returns in time, but then the job is launched. And okay,
it's not enough to use third-party providers, It's really nice, the Grace ecosystem, but you have to know really well with your tool, in this case, Groovy. So we are using gparse heavily, mostly to do parallel tasks. For example, in our background jobs, in the nightly jobs, we try to parallelize as much as possible to use the whole machine, not just one core. So yeah, I don't know if any of you have used gparse. Well, we have the red part is much readable, but here it's just an example of how easily you can sorry. Uy, lo tenía en off. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I put it in off when he was speaking, so. But sorry. Yeah. So here you can parallelly retrieve all the data in a collection, in a GORM collection. This thing here, the problem with doing this in parallel is that inside other threads you don't have access to the current transaction that Grails opened you at the top of your controller, So for each thread you have to open a new transaction. This kind of tricky things could happen to you if you are doing right, like we are doing. So yeah, Gparse is a very good tool. Groovy metaprogramming. We don't try to use much metaprogramming because sometimes it seems like magic, and sometimes can be a pain to debug it afterwards. But sometimes we allow us to do some nice little things because it's quite nice. For example, this is an example that we did. We have a problem that it was growing a lot. The notifications mechanism that we have, it started growing because we were adding new notifications, like I don't know, email notifications, push notifications, in web notifications. So we think that we should make something to add new notifications quickly. We came up with this little piece of code that this is all implemented in a service, in a Grails service. So in the list of channels, we inject all the different notification systems that there are. And when you use invoke method, I don't know if you know this feature, but when you implement Groovy interceptable and declare a method called invoke method, every call will be catched by the method. I mean, you could call any call that to this service and it will be executed by this piece of code. The nice thing is you don't have to worry because when you invoke this method, it will retrieve all the channels and just send the notification that implement that method that you are calling. So it's a nice trick. Okay, Greach and Spring. We found a problem that is that for several services we wanted different implementations in different environments. For example, if you are developing a system that uploads files to an S3 service, for example, you don't want to upload to an S3 a file when you are developing in local, no? So this is really funny because I was told that Mr. Hack in his presentation showed a very similar example because this is a really nice feature. You can add alias to Spring Links. So for your service, for your user service, for example, you inject the file service, but then you can declare per environment different aliases. So here we have the local file implementation that is only for this is the other way around. It's the other way around, okay? I edited some code and I missed this part. Okay, so be the other way around. In production, we only use the S3 file system, but on the other environments, we are using the local file system. The nice thing of aliases is that you also, if you inject directly the local file system service, you could use it, even in production. That's pretty nice. Okay. Okay. Now everything wasn't a good trip, no? There was like very big challenges. One of the biggest, I think, was to migrate from Grace 2.5 to Grace 2.4.4. I don't know if you could see it here, but it's a real email that I sent my team when I first tried to just replace the Grails version, okay? After I replaced the Greach version, I upgraded all the plugins and I made it to compile. I ran the test, and of 1,575 tests, 700 failed. So that moment was quite hard. But at the end, well, really it was hard, but the errors were very concrete. I mean, very specific. Most of the errors were because of the data binding, the command objects, and nobody. But yeah.
Yeah, but one of the features that Decathlon asked for implement is that's to support this this feature, that this URL and this URL end points to the same controller, to the same action. But we cannot duplicate, all the relay mappings .groovy to, for its languages. Why? Because in the moment you generate a new URL, you call to the create link method, the name are duplicated also. So maybe if you access with your Spanish browser, do you want to see all your URLs in Spanish? Also, in the but in the example I'm talking about, there is a problem with this. And we developed a plugin to create this kind of URLs depending on the languages of your browser. This is a very tricky and with a lot of black magic plugin. And this, but we are so proud to achieve it.
Okay, another thing that was really a pain is test pollution. I don't know if any of you have this kind of problem before. If you have, you should check this URL. We will put available the slides afterwards, but this is an article, but they nail it, that really it's great, because he provides a way to solve this kind of failure. Well, a pollution is in integration. For example, if you change your meta class in one test, that test is okay, but then after, I don't know, 20 tests, another test is failing because the first one. So when you run the test that is failing alone, it passes. But when you run the whole suite, it fails. If you ever have this problem, you should check this article because it's great.
It finds the test, it finds the file that is polluting all your tests. And here in the API documentation, this also was a big issue. We tested a lot of online and service and software as a service solutions, but they didn't help us a lot like we wanted. So we decided to create our own solution, to create an API documentation by setting JSPs, but where we can reuse a lot of code inside, because we have to reuse, for example, the user object. The user object must be the same in all documentation. With using the include, the classical include ESP and the ESPs, and the ESPs are very useful.
Okay. Poor Mongo, but maybe it's not Mongo's fault, I think. The MongoDB plugin for Torre is really, I think it's quite buggy. I'm sorry, but it's the truth, in my experience. At the end of the day, we decided to use the low-level API, the Gmongo, because the GORM was doing some strange thing. When you do certain queries, some inserts, it was failing, and we couldn't reproduce the error well. So yeah, that's I don't recommend it that you use that plugin.
The use of low-level API of Mongo inside your code is not so difficult. So it's the move to it, for example, to access the index exactly what you want is very accessible. So what's the next? What is after that? This is 3 years ago, but now what are you doing now? Now you are swimming in money or something like that. No, not at all. We are what wait for us. This is the next big milestone in this Decathlon SportMeeting is to make it available to the rest of the countries where Decathlon is present. Nowadays is the Decathlon SportMeeting that is located only in Spain. This is the Decathlon Decathlon. The stores are present in 27 countries. So the next big milestone is to internationalize it. That is, of course, is really prepared.
There is another big step forward that the platform has to challenge, has to face, is opening the API. Right now it's a private API that only the mobile applications could access, but in the near future we are going to open the API so everyone can develop his own application, his or her own application of the API for the application, but to use that data really to provide new means of communication between users, to provide new means to maybe if you have a store or maybe if you have a paddle center, you can create a new application to automatically upload those proposals inside the platform. Who knows? In fact, there is one application that it's already using the API. It was an internal application just for testing purposes to try to use the API as if I were a developer. It was called SportSpot. It's a map with all this is real code. I mean, this is real data from the production environment.
This is a whole, just now it's accessible in sportspot.decathlon SportMeeting.decathlon.com.
And you could check in your area, you could do zoom in to your house and see what are the proposals for running around your area. And this is it. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a couple of minutes for questions. If any of you want. Somebody? Okay.
Okay, you can take us in the lobby if you want. Thank you.